Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Rettens, your host of the Raiders Report, with some major rumors around the silver and black. I've been at the NFL scouting combine all week, and I have waited until now to discuss a lot of the rumors that we've been seeing around Gino Smith. I'm going to talk about some Brian Thomas Jr. trade rumors that have been floated out there. We're going to discuss even some more stuff in terms of what Clint Kubiak had to say. Ashton Jeanty, running back by committee. And today, lots and lots of NFL news, lots of trade rumors going down. So I'm going to tell you all this right now. Buckle up. This is going to be one of my longer videos. And if you hear anybody here at the Chat Sports house just walking around, we got a few guys taking naps, putting in a lot of hours, putting in a lot of time. So this was the only room that was available to film in. So seriously, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. But the biggest reason I'm telling y'all why you should hit that sub button tomorrow, Fernando Mendoza, NFL Combine. If that don't make you hit the sub button, bro, I don't know what it's going to take to help you guys out, because I mean it. I'm so fired up. I can't wait to be able to meet Mendoza again. I actually got a little bit of a surprise for him, so we'll see if he ends up taking it or not. But, dude, crazy day coming up tomorrow. So let's first start here with the Gino Smith conversation. And Clint Kubiak said that, the Raiders they're going to weigh their options with Geno. He said this yesterday when they had a press conference, not a press conference, but just kind of like a little meeting with some of the local beat reporters. I tried to get in. Unfortunately, I was not able to get into that bad boy. But Kubiak said, quote, "Looking at all the options right now, just trying to see every possible avenue, and he's definitely one of those options that we are considering." So this has been a big story, I would say, over the past 24 hours, because I'll say this right now. I've already done multiple shows, and I put out a video 2.5 months ago illustrating that the Las Vegas Raiders will 100% move on from Geno Smith at the end of the year. And now, there's a lot of stuff popping up saying like, hey, maybe the Raiders decide to keep Geno for another season, because Kubiak did say that he liked Geno back in 2024. There's a quote, I don't remember it exactly, but he kind of illustrates that Geno Smith, Seahawks quarterback, he was excited to be able to get to work with them. Obviously, he was hired before Geno was traded to the Raiders, before that organization ended up signing Sam Darnold, and then, John Spytek. So you got John Spytek and Clint Kubiak, both wouldn't commit to Fernando Mendoza. Kubiak wouldn't do it at the Combine. He wouldn't do it at his intro press conference, and John Spytek at the Combine also would not fully commit to Fernando Mendoza. So I'll say this, I don't blame any Raider fan out there, any NFL fan out there wondering, could the Raiders potentially roll with Geno Smith yet again? And who knows? You have Aiden O'Connell. Maybe you let Fernando Mendoza sit for a season. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about that. And here's the timing, and here's why this is important. Geno makes an extra $8.5 million if he's on the roster the third day of the new league year. If you don't know when that is, it's March 14th. So get out a calendar. I know if my wife was watching, she'd probably slap that bad boy right in there. Her calendar looks like Skittles. It's wild. But March 14th, if he's still on your team, that's $8.5 million. I will say this, and I mean this when I say this. The Las Vegas Raiders will 100% move on from Geno Smith. And I'm saying that on February 26th, just like I did back 2 months ago. And the reason why I'm so confident in it, number one, Geno doesn't want to be a part of this organization. He's already deleted all things social media. I had Geno family members reach out to me. It was right after the middle finger game saying that he doesn't want to be a part of this team anymore. And he knows that if he gets cut, he will make more money by going elsewhere. And if there's anything I learned about Geno, he doesn't give a shit about us, and he wants to make money. And I don't blame Geno for wanting to go out and get an extra bag. Though, after the year we just had, I might be able to blame you a little bit. But, let's be honest with ourselves. This is a smart thing for Clint Kubiak to say. I kind of wish Raider fans would see the quote and not go panic mode and go, oh, shit, we're going to keep Geno Smith for another year. If anything, you should applaud Clint Kubiak, because if he's going to say, yeah, we're weighing all of our options, we might potentially keep Geno, that makes his trade value go up. Now, again, I don't think anybody on planet Earth is going to trade for Geno Smith, because if you trade for Geno Smith, you take on his entire contract. Now, that's not a lot of money. I mean, it's $26 million, and then his contract next season is technically a cap hit of $39, but that's $0 million guaranteed. So if you're an NFL organization out there and you're going, shit, I wonder if I get Geno Smith essentially at a $26 million deal, 1 year prove it deal. Some of you, and I get it, might go, holy shit, that's a lot of money. But I also think if I were to ask a lot of NFL fans last offseason, who would you rather have at QB, Geno Smith or Malik Willis? Malik Willis, I'm telling y'all right now, is going to get $30 million a year. So there's going to be NFL organizations out there going, should I sign Malik Willis, who's had a few good snaps, like a few good looks? I'm not saying that he hasn't looked good, but the sample size for Malik is not nearly as large as what the sample size is for Geno Smith. And if a team wants to trade for Geno, it's going to be a 7th round pick. The Raiders, I'm telling y'all right now, are going to go, you want Geno? Here you go. Here's a 7th round pick. You can take him off our hands because of the amount of money that you save. Because if he's traded, Raiders save $26 million. If the Raiders cut him, you save $8 million, and Mark Davis has to eat $18.5 million. So that is the biggest reason. And again, I applaud Clint Kubiak, because if there's one thing that I've learned in the short amount of time of me covering Kubiak, that guy tells you he doesn't have a lot of words, but I do think his words have a lot of meaning. And I also think that, he just got it up here. He's a smart guy. He's not going to show you every single card in his hand, and I don't blame him for doing it. So I know that Geno was wanted out for months. I know that the Raiders are going to move on from Geno, and I'm going to continuously say it 100%. For just win, babies. Geno Smith will not be a member of the Las Vegas Raiders. I'll say it once, I'll say it again, and if you agree with that statement, hit that like button, because I want more Raider fans to see this, because I know I'm not the only person that's out there right now going, oh man, will the Raiders keep him? They're not going to keep him. Doesn't make any sense to keep him. And the biggest reason why it doesn't make any sense to keep him, you have to get the cancer out of the locker room. If that's a harsh word for you, believe me, I don't use that word lightly. But Geno Smith on and off the field last season was a cancer to this Las Vegas Raiders organization. You can't tell me otherwise. So now you bring in a brand new head coach, you bring in a brand new organization, a brand new coaching staff. I don't want Fernando Mendoza learning underneath Geno Smith. I don't want my future quarterback anywhere near Geno. In fact, I don't want him anywhere near Eugene, because that's how he played. He played like Eugene Smith. So no, I have no interest in him at all. But I know this. This show is not about me. It's always about the nation. And I've said this a few times this week, but y'all are the biggest reason why I'm here at the NFL Combine. Don't get me wrong. I know I'm a hard worker. I know I have my own commitment to excellence, but the relationship that we've been able to build here over the last 8 years, the amount of people that have come up to me and just have said, hey, I see what you're doing on YouTube. They've asked me questions. I think what we have been able to do as a community, as a YouTube channel, it's absolutely positively unbelievable. And again, I'm super blessed the fact to be here. But the reason why I say all that is because I do ask questions on this show. I do tell you to hit that like button. I do tell you to hit that subscribe button, because I'm not afraid to tell you that when you hit that like button, when you hit that subscribe button, when you comment down below, you are absolutely positively helping me grow. You're helping this channel grow. And I think you're helping Raider Nation grow from top to bottom, because quite frankly, I think I'm the only guy out here really covering the Raiders at the NFL Combine. There's a few other people, I'm not taking away from what they're doing, but I also don't think that anyone's even close to putting out the amount of content that we're doing. And I do that for all of y'all. So I'm going to say this one more time. This show's not about me. It is about all of y'all. Please go down in the comment section. Let me know, should the Raiders keep Geno Smith this offseason? Give me a keep. Give me a move on. My answer coming up here after this YouTube ad break. Move on. If you had to wait for that YouTube ad break for that answer, I feel really, really bad for you. And yeah, you probably do think that the Raiders are going to end up keeping Eugene Smith. Let's go to the next story here, and it's around Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I had a lot of people send me this yesterday, and typically I'm not afraid to make videos. I make rumor videos all the time, but I also don't think somebody stating an opinion means that it's a true rumor, right? in all honesty, I mean, if there's any other Raiders content creators out there, if you wanted to do what this Brian Thomas Jr. trade rumors are, you should do it with me on the Raiders Report. If I say that the Raiders might go out and look at somebody, put it on your social media. People are going to share it. You're going to gain a bigger following because I'm talking about it. The number one Raiders show on the planet is talking about it. But just because Dan Graziano, and I get it, he's on national television, does anybody here think that anybody from the national TV knows more about the Raiders than you sitting at home? I'll tell you this, I don't think Dan Graziano, nice guy, got to meet him here at the Combine. I would run laps around Dan Graziano when it comes to the Raiders. Why? Because nobody covers this team the way that Raider Nation does. Nobody covers this team the way that I do. And I know that. And I'm not afraid to say it. I said it to multiple people today. And if it rubbed them the wrong way, again, like I'm always going to say the way that I feel. And I think that's why people want to watch this show. But again, does anybody think that Dan Graziano knows more about the Las Vegas Raiders than them sitting at home? I'm sure there's maybe one or few people sitting at home saying yes. But I think most people are saying no. So the reason why that I say that is like Dan Graziano did not say that the Raiders are interested in trading for Brian Thomas Jr. He essentially said that there's a chance that the Raiders could do it and that he believed that the Raiders were one of the top teams to make a trade for Brian Thomas Jr. because there's tons of trade rumors around him. Parker Washington really, I think, showed up last season for Jacksonville. They signed Jacoby Myers, and Thomas has been kind of the odd man out, and they brought in a new head coach last season in Liam Cohen. So to me, one of the things that I really tried to do today is I tried to go around, I tried to talk to some insiders. I'll say one insider that y'all know, one of the biggest NFL insiders. I tried talking to him. He was the biggest asshole of the day that I met today. And I'll tell you this, when you hear certain things, you wonder. And then when they're proven true, it's very, very interesting. Very sad, quite frankly, that some people behave the way that they do at the NFL Combine. Besides the point, though. So what I tried to do today is I reached out to some people. I even talked to a few Jags guys that I saw just walking around the Combine. Because, again, if you're there covering the Jacksonville Jaguars, you probably know that team better than I do. So I asked, and I didn't know exactly what these conversations are going to look like. So I said, hey, there's a lot of Raiders fans asking me about trading for Brian Thomas Jr. What do you think? And one of the Jags guys told me that he believed it would cost a second-round pick. So I thought that was interesting. Now, I reached out to our guy here at Chat Sports who covers the Jags, and he said probably a first. And you're not going to get the number one overall pick. I also know for a fact that the Raiders would not give up the first-round pick in the 2027 NFL Draft. And if the Jags are asking for a first-round pick for Brian Thomas Jr., with all due respect, you just hang up the phone and you don't even entertain that call. I'm not saying that he's not a good player, but for where you are at as an organization, you just can't give up a first-round pick. You can't do it. Doesn't make any sense. Absolutely not. Now, what's really interesting about this Brian Thomas Jr. is obviously the Raiders need a number one receiver, but I don't really know if it's actually going to cost a true second-round pick. This is the time of the year where there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of shit going around, and Thomas was clearly, not nearly as good of a fit in that offense as he was, just a season ago. And when you bring in new athletes, when you bring in new regimes, all that stuff does truly, truly matter. I mean, in 2024, 133 targets, 87 catches, 1,282 yards, 10 touchdowns. 2025 time. And I get it, LSU getting ready to get into his third year. I know where they drafted him, first round. 2025, 91 targets, 48 catches, 707 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's not a receiver that gets a first-round pick. That's not a receiver that gets a second-round pick. And there's no doubt about it. Love his talent. I can still remember the video, and I'm sure that some of y'all Raiders fans remember the clip of he's running, or Zay Jones runs a route, and then Brian Thomas Jr. runs a route right after him, and it kind of looked like it was like a guy on JV, and then it was a guy that you knew was going to go play D1 football somewhere. It was that clearly much of a difference. But at 24 years old, no doubt about it, very, very young, very, very talented wide receiver. But if he's on the trade block, I think that you could potentially get a third-round pick for him. And I saw Davante Adams go for a third. I'm not trying to compare the players. Davante had a great career. near the end of his career, but I do truly wonder, maybe it doesn't cost a second. Maybe if the Raiders want to offer a third and a fourth, I don't think that that's a bad idea, because then you got 2 other fourth-round picks that if you really, truly wanted to move back into the top 100, you'd probably be able to package 102, 117, 134, 2 of those picks, and try to move back up to go get another player. But Brian Thomas Jr., again, I'm not saying that it's not I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be entertained by the idea of making that trade, but we got to be very clear here. There's no rumors, there's no report saying that the Raiders are interested in trading for Brian Thomas Jr. It was simply Dan Graziano giving his opinion, the same way that I give my opinion every single day on this show. I like opinions. Opinions are good. But if Dan Graziano says that the Raiders could trade for Brian Thomas Jr., it's a lot different than Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, Jordan Schultz, somebody going per source, the Raiders are interested in trading for Brian Thomas Jr. Because I'll tell you this right now, if that report comes out, you're getting a video from me ASAP Rocky. There's a reason why I haven't made a video on it. It's because it doesn't need to get a video ASAP Rocky. Coming up next here on the show, we're going to talk about some Raiders formal meetings, which I think is important. We're also going to discuss some of the things that Clint Kubiak had to say about the running back position. This was a question that I got multiple times today. And, again, I love when people ask me questions. And then the next thing that we're going to talk about even after that is the trade that went down today, more trade rumors, and then I'm going to give you guys my schedule for tomorrow. That way you can kind of expect what I'm going to be providing for Raider Nation. So, before we get into all that, I do got to show some love to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. Do you miss football? Dude, I already miss football, though watching some of the guys run here at the Combine, it's kind of giving me a little bit of a jolt. Like, I just saw David Bailey, disgusting, 6'3", 250-pound guy, just ran a 4.5 140. That is unbelievable. You know what else is unbelievable? The fact that you can get $50 in lineups when you use code CLNS after you play your first $5 lineup. Join millions of users for America's #1 fantasy sports app out there. It's available in all 50 states. So, what the heck are you waiting for? Download the Prize Picks app today. Make sure that you use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. So let's go to the Raiders Combine tracker, if you will. You're allowed to have, I think the number is 45, informal visits at the Combine. Nothing has happened yet in terms of top 30. So, again, there's a few names here that we're going to talk about, and these are only names that I was able to confirm. And I'm not saying that there's not other names out there, but here are the names that I know of for a fact, 100%, that the Raiders met with at the NFL Combine. Lee Hunter, defensive tackle from Texas Tech. That one's very interesting to me, especially because the Raiders went 3-4 defense on that same day that announcement was made. Lee Hunter also has told us that he had a meeting with the Raiders. D'Angelo Pons, cornerback from Indiana. I know I'm not the only one that's excited about that. Brandon Cisse, I think it's how you say it. Cisse. Met him today. Really cool dude. Cornerback from South Carolina. Geno Smith, safety from Arizona. A true ball hawk, free safety. Makes me very happy. Probably going to be a day 3 pick. And then one of the coolest dudes that I met today. Again, you could tell some guys at the podium. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's just like anything, right? Some people are people's pleasers. Some people know how to talk to an audience. Some people are a little bit more quiet and reserved. I totally get it. Like when you hear me talk here on this show, and I'm in the studio and I'm allowed to be loud and I'm allowed to be, I would say me, I bet you the video looks a lot better. When I'm at the Combine, I got to be quiet because there's so much other stuff going on and, we just don't want to get yelled at. So I actually find it more difficult for me to talk like I usually do when I have to be quiet and talk kind of like this, the way that you guys get my shows from the Combine. But Riley Nowakowski, tight end from Indiana, one of the best pressers that I heard. The entire presser is on the Raiders Report YouTube channel. I encourage you to go check it out. But if you're looking for your tight end 3/fullback that's got Mendoza ties all wrapped up in one, that's going to be your guy. Loved listening to him. You could tell he brings physicality. You could tell he's exactly, I think, what the Raiders need in 2026. I need a tight end 3 that's not flashy, that can catch the football, that can also block as a fullback. And you know what's cool? Got tight end and fullback experience in college football. Let's go to the next story here real quick. Actually, I don't know how quick this one's going to be. The Raiders are going to be looking to add another running back per Clint Kubiak, which I don't think should shock anybody. Like, if the Raiders going with a committee, and a committee still, I think, a very strong word. If the Raiders going with another running back to help keep Ashton Jeanty fresh, if that was surprising to you, if it is surprising to you, hello. My name is Mitchell Renz. You're watching the Raiders Report. I mean, I feel like we've talked about the fact that the Raiders are no doubt going to add another running back, not only in free agency. Hell, I think that they're going to add one in the draft as well. You got Ashton Jeanty. You got literally only Chris Collier and Dylan Laube left on that roster. I don't know if Dylan Laube makes a 53-man roster, and I don't know if Chris Collier makes a 53-man roster on any other NFL team. And, you know, Kubiak's going to use multiple backs, and he comes from the Shanahan tree, which also uses multiple backs. So, like, you know, us sitting around acting like that this is surprising news, quite frankly, I was shocked. If you want to go check out some other videos that I've done on the perfect free agent that the Raiders could sign at running back, it's already out there. And I think the name that I'm going to mention here should be the name that Raider fans kind of gravitate towards. And the name that I said weeks ago, the perfect running back to pair with Jeanty, Tyler Algier. And I know that Tyler Algier has a similar skill set than Jeanty, but that's a good thing because that's what Clint Kubiak is going to be kind of looking for. I don't need a back who's going to be, I don't know, Jeanty gets 15 carries and Algier gets 10. No, I need Jeanty to get about 18, and if Algier gets 6, that's a beautiful committee. But also, it's just being able to trust somebody. Like, Algier has not put the ball on the ground 727 touches. It's most in the NFL. Most ever, actually, I think. I think it's like the most touches ever without a fumble at the running back position. I think it's actually the most, it's active players. Yeah, we were just talking about that at Chat Sports the other day. But Tyler Algier, awesome fit. What about a Rachaad White? Somebody who can run between the tackles, got a John Spytek connection, also can catch the football. Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell is a hell of a pass-catching running back. Also showed last season in Pittsburgh that he can run between the tackles a little bit more. Other guys, Kenneth Walker is going to be a name. I don't see it happening. I still think that Seattle could potentially franchise tag Walker, but I think Kenneth's going to go back to Seattle. Other names here that have connections to Kubiak, George Alani, he's going to be a free agent. He's played with Kubiak in 2025. Jeremy McNichols played with Kubiak in 2023, though like that's kind of like a Zamir White replacement. Chase Edmonds, tons of injuries, but when he was healthy, he was halfway decent. He worked with Kubiak in 2022. Tyler Batty in 2022 with Kubiak. Don't really think that Batty's going to be an option. Kind of two, I'm not going to lie, like under the radar options, I think, for the Raiders. Former backs, Alexander Madison and Amir Abdullah, both played with Kubiak in 2021 when he was the OC with the Minnesota Vikings. Like, I would welcome Amir Abdullah back with open arms. I would. I loved him here, and I think that he can play that third down back, and he's a tough dude. The other name here that's got some Kubiak ties is Kene Nwanu, and I probably didn't pronounce that name right, but another guy that, spent some time with him in 2021, Kubiak in Minnesota. But I think if you're the Raiders, you're looking at a reliable RB2 because you're going to be a run-first team, and they're going to want to run the football a lot. I will continuously say that if it was up to me, the top 3 running backs that Clint Kubiak should target this offseason to pair with Ashton Jeanty, number 1, Tyler Algier. Number 2, Rachaad White. Number 3, Kenneth Gainwell. And I've been saying that for months. If you don't believe me, go check out the videos on the Raiders Report. All right, a few more stuff. I told you today's show was going to be a little bit longer, but hey, it is what it is. The Raiders also made an interesting hire, and I'm going to butcher this name, and I feel so bad, but the Raiders made a hire, and they hired Rohit, Rohit, last name Last name is spelled Mogalayapali. Mogalopoli? I don't, and I feel bad. I have no idea how to say the name. Honestly, I was going to make a short on it, but it would have been short because I wouldn't have even been able to say the last name. He is coming from the Texans, and he has been the assistant director of special projects and game management. So this is more of just like an analytics transition is how I would explain it. But it did happen today, so I figured I would talk about it here. Other NFL news that ended up going down, the New York Jets, they traded Jermaine Johnson to the Tennessee Titans in exchange for T'Vondre Sweat. So this is an edge straight up for defensive tackle, which you don't really see all that much. Again, the trade can't be officially processed until the start of the new league year in March, but I think that just is a reminder that if you don't think agents and teams and all this stuff are talking until the new league year happens, then I think it's time to wake up here a little bit. But why I find that interesting is because obviously the Jets hold the number 2 overall pick. And I spoke with 2 people that covered the New York Jets today, and very, very nice guys. And I was like, all right, where do you think that they're going to go? And they literally were like, without hesitation, the trade that happened today means, without a doubt, Arvell Reese or Ruben Bain. And I asked both of them, who do they think that the pick's going to be? And they both said Arvell Reese. So, sometimes certain guys like, Jermaine Johnson, he was drafted by Robert Saleh. So he's got that Saleh connection, and now he's joining Saleh down in Tennessee. So the New York Jets, what do? I think that they add T'Vondre Sweat maybe to help him replace a little bit of Quinnen Williams there on the interior. But I think that they did that trade because they're going to go out and they're going to get an Arvell Reese. They're going to go out and get an Ruben Bain at number 2 overall. And what was so cool about talking to the Jets guys was, I told him, I was like, hey, man, I was an intern back in 2014, long time ago. But they were also like, man, what I would do for Fernando Mendoza. It was just like, jokingly, like, what do we got to give up to get Mendoza? And, they even said it. And this is something that I've said multiple times on this program. They were like, yeah, it kind of sucks. We have all these first-round picks, and we can't get our quarterback. Like, to any Raider fan out there that wants the Raiders to trade away the number 1 overall pick, again, I'm a Mendoza believer. Like, if you don't believe Mendoza, you probably have that thought process. But if you believe in Mendoza, I don't know how the hell you'd want to trade that pick. Because then you're going to hit the open market, and that's where guys like Malik Willis are going to get $30 million a year. I think Malik Willis is a fun player. $30 million from Malik Willis, number 1 overall pick for Fernando Mendoza. Sure, you can get more draft capital, but you can get all the draft capital in the world, right? You can draft a Cleveland Ferrell, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Abram, Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett, Alex Leatherwood, Tyree Wilson. You can do that. You can draft those first rounders. Sometimes it don't matter. And sometimes it just doesn't matter. Sometimes I think what you got to do is just go take the player that you want to go get and the player that you think helps you win right away. And I think Fernando Mendoza is going to be that guy. Other trade rumors that happened today, I did do a quick little short on this earlier, but this is from Jordan Schultz. Teams have inquired with the Bears about trading for Gervon Dexter. The free agent defensive tackle market and draft class are not deep. The 24-year-old started all 17 games, 13.5 career sacks, 42 hits, and he's entering the final year of his rookie contract. So I saw that rumor, and I did put this already out, Mitchell Renz 365 on social media, but I think that the Raiders are one of those teams that called and have inquired about Gervon Dexter. Why do I say that? Timing is everything in the NFL. The news comes out, Rob Leonard going to run a 3-4 defense. That means we need some bigger guys on the interior. Now, Dexter's not nearly as good of a run stuffer, but Lee Hunter is. So could you do a rotation of a Gervon Dexter who's better at getting after the quarterback and then pair that with a Lee Hunter? Definitely a possibility. But Gervon Dexter, he was drafted in the second round, 53 overall from Florida, but he was drafted by the Chicago Bears. The Raiders obviously promoted Rob Leonard to be their defensive coordinator, and guess who took over for Rob Leonard? Do you know? I actually got to get the name right. Hang on. Travis Smith. I was literally about to be like, I know it's Travis something. Raiders hired Travis Smith to be the defensive line coach, who actually was with the Raiders before even he went to Chicago. But I bring that up because he was the defensive line coach in Chicago from 2023 and in 2024. So because there's that little bit of an overlap there, I do wonder. And again, like Gervon's gigantic. He's 6'6", he's 340-something pounds. But I do think like he would be a really good fit for what we need and what we have. I wonder if like a trade were to go down with like Gervon, Dexter, 2 first-round picks. Like I know it's been floated out there a lot that, hey, DJ Moore could be the player. And DJ Moore could be the guy. Like, you know, there was trade rumors today around DJ Moore. Like I've kind of like floated with the idea. Could you imagine a DJ Moore, Gervon, Dexter, first-round pick, and I don't know, you throw in like a third-round pick on top? That might be too much. Throw in like a fourth or a fifth on top of that. Like, that would be an interesting trade. Raiders get a number 1 receiver. They get a defensive tackle, and you get a first-round pick. Like, that could be something maybe for a Max Crosby. So what I did was I reached out to Harrison Graham. He's the guy who covers the Bears here at Chat Sports. And I said, what do you think the Dexter trade would cost? And he said, I'd guess a third, but probably a fourth. So, he said if it's anything less than that, the Bears would probably keep him. So if you're the Raiders, like if I'm the Raiders and that's kind of the ballpark that they're looking for, the first pick that I offer is 102. The first pick that I'm willing to offer is 102. It's a 4th-round pick. It's very early in the 4th round. And if they say no to that, I then would hit them with, well, what about 102 and 117? We'd still have pick 134. We would still have a 4th-round pick. Now, that's 2 4th-rounders. It's a little bit more. And does 2 4th-rounders equal a 3rd-round pick? Like, that's kind of up for debate. Like, maybe instead of going to 2 4ths, maybe you go a 4th and a 6th. That's probably the better way to do it because the Raiders have 2 6th-round picks. I'm spitballing here. It's 30 minutes into the video. I'm already on my 5th cup of coffee today. Cheers to all y'all. But I do think that the Raiders could be interested in Gervon Dexter. And just because of the connections, because of the need, because of all the timing. So pay attention to that name. Definitely going to be a name that I personally follow really closely. Anthony Richardson, he got permission today to seek a trade. It sounds like there's some interest from the Minnesota Vikings, which, I mean, if the Vikings are just trying to add bad quarterback after bad quarterback, I don't blame them. But Richardson is no doubt an unbelievable talent. You can't deny that. And there's going to be a team that gets a player that I don't know how you're going to use him. But he's not a quarterback in my book. He's a hell of an athlete, not a quarterback. Honestly, maybe you put him in like a Taysom Hill type of role. Like have him play QB from time to time, but mainly just have him go out there and catch some footballs because he's an athletic freak, no doubt about it. All right, y'all, I'm getting ready to hop on out of here. We gotta do a few little things here at the Chat Sports House. Before I get out of here, I do want to give you my schedule of who I'm going to try to talk to tomorrow at the presser. The big one, Fernando Mendoza, 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Eastern. So for a lot of y'all on the West Coast, that's 5 a.m., man. So get a cup of coffee, get it ready to go, whatever you need to do. I'm getting up bright and early tomorrow, so be ready. And we got dinner tonight at 9:15. 9:15 dinner, and I'm going to be at the Combine tomorrow, probably at 7 a.m. Can't wait. Elijah Surratt, a wide receiver from Indiana, he's tomorrow at 8:40 a.m. Omar Cooper Jr. tomorrow at 10:30. Rasul Faison, he's a running back for South Carolina. I've been talking to a lot of South Carolina guys just to kind of get some extra scoops on Joe D. Camillus. And from a timing standpoint, that one helps me out a little bit. That way I can take care of Mendoza, Elijah, Omar, kind of the way that I want to do it. And then the last one that I will get tomorrow is Indiana running back Roman Hemby. And, I'm going to ask every single one of those guys, hey, have you met with the Raiders? The Mendoza one's going to be the most difficult because he's going to have a zoo around him. Like, when you're at the Combine, you can go podium to podium if you want, but it can be difficult to get certain shots. It can be difficult to get your question there. Like, if you want to get your question heard, you got to be there front. Like, you got to try to get there unless you're going to be shouting over some people, but it's really up to the athlete whether or not he can hear you. And again, like if you got 50 people in front of you, and everybody's trying to get a question in, it can be difficult. So what I think I've done a good job this week is I'm trying to get as close as I possibly can. I got my phone, I'm getting up there. I'm going to basically tailgate Mendoza tomorrow. I don't know what I got to do. I'm trying to get up there. And if anybody has bought in one of our Fernando Mendoza shirts, chatsports.com/Mendoza, I have one for Fernando. I'm going to offer it to him tomorrow, whether he takes it, whether he leaves it, no matter what. I want him to know that Raider Nation's got his back. And literally, I'm going to try to put something on his back. Pause. All right, y'all. I got to get out of here. We got a few things that we got to do before our late dinner here at the Chat Sports Airbnb. It's been an unbelievable experience. It's hard to believe that tomorrow's technically our last full day, but it's going to be the longest day here at the Combine. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Fernando Mendoza. If you haven't already, make sure you guys click that subscribe button. I promise you a lot of content coming from me, and I hope that you appreciate the content that my team, our team here at Chat Sports and the Raiders Report has been providing, but we're providing it because y'all have hit that sub button. And I want you to check out these 2 other videos just simply because I think you're a real one.